Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I have another ECM test. Well, DME, this time working on a 2009 Mini Cooper S. This is an R56 with a N14 engine. This is coming from Ethan. Ethan is from Virginia, Scottsville, Virginia. He says concerned vehicle will start and run but does not communicate with the coolant temperature sensor or intake air sensor. The radiator fans also constantly run on high and will not shut off even with the key removed. I have removed the relay to turn them off. When attempting to view the coolant temp, the readout reads just dashes instead of a number. I have replaced the sensor 3 times, charged the changed the thermostat housing, beat the coolant system over, bled, bleed the coolant temperature sensor as the coolant system over and over, and check continuity resistance through the wiring harness and cannot find anything to be wrong. The car is also throwing 6 trouble codes and will not allow me to erase them. Codes are p0117, p112B, p0118, p0117 again, p0112B again, and p0112, which are all related to the coolant temperature, circuit integrity and plausibility, and also the intake air temperature. He was referred by another customer that I repair his DME before. All right, I have the LTL because I was trying to read it with the top down and I'm like, well, something is not right. But then I connected the LTL and it was the same thing. So I went over to the OVD generic, right? Which is raw data, not how you call that? Not not changed by the manufacturers, the manufacturer site. So OBD2 is mandatory, and all vehicles should have it. So for my surprise, in here the coolant temperature is reading actually properly. So I'm going to deselect the control modules and order ones that I have here, and just leave the actual coolant temperature sensor. Let me see if I can graph that in here. I don't have my glasses on me. Show all settings. I guess I can do it in here. Let me see. No, that's not. Let me see. There's something. So something pop up, but yeah, right here, graph. Okay, so let me make this bigger so we can see the change. So I'm going to through the decay box, and I'm using the sensor ground and the sensor power. So the signal, as I have here on the screen. So I am in connector X60231, which is the center one, and all the powers and grounds and everything on the X60004, which is this one. So all I have connected on the center connector is the sensor ground and the sensor signal. Looking at those, we have the coolant temperature ground is in pin 14, and the signal, which is at the same thing, not a 5-volt reference in Mini Cooper is like a 3.9 or 3 point something. There, again, as you can see, in connector X60231, that's exactly what I am. All right, so I am now providing signal or pulling the signal, sorry, to ground, but not completely. So we have 1.699, almost 1.7 volts. So I follow the circuit over. So we are here. So let me just show you how I go and how I do this test. So the coolant temperature is signal is here. So I can see, you see we got the 1.7 right there, 1.69 or so. So this is right there. So I follow that path, and I found what it seems to be a resistor, and I can see here that we have the 1.7 something, right? So we are in the correct circuit through the resistor. On the other side, we got 1.69 something. Sorry for the glare. Hopefully that's better. All right, so I follow that path because I'm not trying to see if it's any broken on or something that is not letting the signal reach the controller properly, even though the Microprocessor is the one actually supplying that voltage because this is a thermistor, right? So this is a special signal. So let's see where I am. So I follow that all the way to the microprocessor, and if I touch in here, trying to be very careful because it's very small pins. So right there we got 1.698. So I am right there. Hopefully the camera is focusing because I cannot see well. So again, no glasses. So I'm going to change now the temperature. We are reading 66 degrees Celsius. So I'm going to, let me see what that will do. So we're increasing the temperature. As you can see, I'm going to go around 100 and something. Oh, actually, that's overheating. So because remember, this is in degrees. So 120, 108. That's kind of like fully warm engine, 108 degrees Celsius. That drop you saw there is when I'm switching the signal here, you know, the reading, it can go over to like almost zero, like perfectly shorted. So that if I go and measure now, we got 0.76 volts. So we can see the computer respond and is reading properly. All right, if I go again all the way to save time, all the way to the microprocessor, we can see that we got 0.76 volts. So all the voltage all the way to the microprocessor is good. So yeah, the computer is perfect, right? All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to swap and connect the top down on the non-generic side. So the original side pretty much. And let's see how that looks. All right, guys, I swapped tools. Everything is connected. We got the MDCI, and I forgot to mention that I am running 120 ohm resistors because these computers in the Mini Cooper don't have the terminating resistor in it. All right. Okay, so let's do an auto scan the way it is. It should read perfectly the bin. The last digits on the bin number should be T97325. All right, 2009 Mini Cooper T97. So T97325, all this good. So we're going to go into quick access. The reason I'm using the top down is because it's a lot faster to go to the selection that I need. The Autel, it does it more like the BMW, which it will try to read all the modules on the car and do a complete scan of the communication, and it will give errors, and it takes a long time to actually read it, which is the proper way. Nothing wrong with that, but to save time for the video, I'm doing it with the top down. And as the reading, the menu and everything is exactly the same. I already compared both softwares and it's perfect. So nothing wrong with the use of top down for this. All right, so let's just wait for this to connect to the actual module. All right, so in here we're going to do a manual selection, mini, um, R56 and all the bottom ones. And we're going to drive ECM, which is the DME, right? Digital motor electronics. That's what DME means. All right, so the identification is correct and it's TT97325. So that is exactly the number. All right, we hit continue and we're going to go into read data stream. All right, here we're going to go into temperature values. And I'm just going to select the engine temperature as we had before, right? But look at here, we got 68 degrees. Remember, I haven't touched anything. This should be reading 108 degrees Celsius. So this should be in 210, 200 and something. Let me actually do the conversion on the computer so you will understand what this should have been reading. So 108 C2F. So that should be 226.4. Oops, sorry. I think I touched a button that I should not touch. So give me 1 second. I hope I don't mess with the. Okay, I think it's all back to normal. So yes, we should be reading 226, almost 227 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's not. We know that the signal all the way to the microprocessor is good. So what is the problem? So I'm going to do a change in here. So we're going to go into a cooler reading. So I was in 260, that's the 108. I'm going to go into like cooler reading But as we see here, there is absolutely no change. And you will say, well, is it the computer communicating in the original side? It is. And I know because I was here before. So let's go over to ignition. Not this one, sorry. Interfaces. Not either. Sorry. Let me just voltage supply. That's what I was looking for. So battery voltage in terminal 15. So we are reading 14.13 and terminal 15 wake up is active. So I'm going to change the battery voltage by 1 volt. So we're in 14.49. There's a little bit of a voltage drop, wiring, etc. Right? So we're going to go. Um, all right, I'm not in the correct spot. So give me 1 second right there. So I just drop 1 volt. And see, we are in 13.9. So I'm going to bring it up again, 1 volt, exactly 1 volt, and we're in 14.13. So the scanner, the communication with the scanner is active. Nothing is wrong with that. So you will say, well, then it's a bad computer. I will have to disagree with that. I think Ethan, the problem that you have here, based on the generic part that cannot be changed. So it's raw data the manufacturers cannot change. When you have the original part in here, the computer sometimes puts a substituted value if it's a problem or so. So let's do one other thing because I have not tried that and is to erase the faults. So Ethan said that he has fault codes, which we're probably going to have more than that, right? So we had the 2F22. If I go over to the actual fault codes, just a commercial. If you have any computers that you need to send to repair, please look for Mike Salazar Diagnostics. My name is spelled as M-A-I-C. It sounds as Mike. So MikeSalazarDiagnostics.com. This is the address where you will ship the computer or module that you need to repair. You can click in here and that will open your Outlook or Microsoft. Again, this is for Windows, right? But you can use Outlook with Gmail or other, but you need to have an Outlook or Microsoft account in order to set it up first. If you don't have, so you can click the Let's Chat or scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page and you will find my email in there and just email me. It's mike at mikesalazardiagnostics.com and that is my phone number right there and the address. All right. Okay, that's just a small commercial. So let me go over to the folder that I have for Ethan, and I have all the fault codes in here. So let me open now this up. So if we see, we have 2F22. So let's look for 2F22 right here. So 2F22, I'm going to select that at the bottom. So now it's blue color in there. The 0x is just a number that BMWs or Mini Cooper uses, but the 2F22, that's the code we have. And as you see, that's p112B, which is one of the fault codes that he referred that he cannot erase. So it says engine coolant temperature sensor 1, minimum temperature plausible, sorry, implausible. So yeah, that is a problem. All right, so let's look for the other codes. Let's set p0117. So I'm going to type p0117 and I have, you can do a search on PDF files with Control F. So I click in here and that will take me specifically to the full code. And now that code should be 2F18, which we have here, right? So again, I'm going to select, you guys see where I am. I'm going to try to make this a little bigger so you guys can see better. All right, it says engine coolant temperature sensor 1 circuit low. All right, so that is engine coolant temperature sensor 1. I don't see why is that referring as a sensor 1 when I don't see any other sensors, because looking at the engine coolant temperature sensor in here, it shows just as a one sensor. It shows us a coolant temperature. Oh, let me just see because it says characteristic map thermostat coolant temperature sensor. Okay. Ah, okay. So we have another sensor. It's using pin 14, and we have, oh no, let's disregard what I just said. Look at this, it's pin 32. So it's the same pin 32. So if you have a characteristic map thermostat, the coolant temperature sensor is built in it. If you don't, you have another sensor or an outside sensor. And the map thermostat will be separate. You say you have it either or. You have the two sensors separate, or both sensors into one configuration. But there is only one temperature sensor for the engine. So let me just make sure that I have the correct information, because this is a cooling system. Make sure that I have no other temperature sensors, and no, we don't. And this is based on the VIN number for the vehicle. So if I go scroll up, I have all the information in here, TT97325. So this is specifically from Mini Cooper BMW original information. So I don't want to miss anything. All right, so we do have those fault codes. Let's say 2F19. So let's go back to the fault codes. And now we're going to look for 2F19. Click enter. We had that one here as well. And that's the other fault code that he has, p0118. And that is also engine coolant temperature sensor 1 circuit high. The other one, the only other one that I have not checked, or with you guys, because I have checked all, it will be p0112. And p0112, if I remember properly, that's for the intake temperature sensor, and it is. So it says intake temperature sensor circuit low on bank 1. I don't think is a bank 2. This is a 4-cylinder, and there is only one air temperature sensor. All right, so again, so let's go back, see if we can erase these fault codes. All right, says a clear fault codes is completed. Let's read the fault codes. I don't have that one. I have the intake air temperature sensor signal because it's not connected, but I no longer have the coolant temperature ones. All right, so I'm glad that I did this, because I was thinking it was probably not even logic. I thought for at the beginning that we have a problem with the software calibration or something that is not right, but we no longer have all those fault codes. The only one that I have right now is the p0112, which if we go down in here, yeah, it's only giving me the number. I can do a search, and this is the nice thing about Tap Done. If I click in search, it will open the browser, and it will show you more, but I mean, we don't really need to do that. Yes. Okay, so we no longer have the temperature sensor full. So let's see now how is the reading of the coolant temperature. All right, so temperature values, engine temperature. Oh, oh, ho, ho. So it's nothing wrong with this computer, Ethan. Look what we have now, 156.2 degrees. I'm going to change that, and I am. So as you can see now, I'm going to go over to the 260. That should be around 220, is exactly 224.6. I hope I still got that uh, open. And 220, 200, look, exactly 108 degrees Celsius, 226.4, 226.4. This is perfect, absolutely no problem in the computer. And I'm going to tell you something, Ethan. I am pretty sure that if I go over to your intake temperature sensor, which I'm going to do pretty quickly, so we can do the reading, but yep, Ethan, the problem is not in the computer. You got either a harness issue or a coolant temperature sensor that is bad, but it's nothing wrong with your computer. And the proof is in my testing. I hope that you see what I'm doing, because all I'm doing is supplying a resistor. This black wire is the ground on the sensor, again in pin 14, which is on this green cable, if we follow it, is connected to the black. The yellow is in pin 32 in the center connector, and it goes into the yellow, which I have here. So all I'm doing is going through a 260 ohm resistor to ground supplied by the same DME. So everything is with your DME. If it will be a problem, it will show it here. We got good communication, so no issue. So let me move the connections over to the air intake temperature sensor, which we have the fault. So I have also the air intake temperature sensor in here, and we can see that it's reading 116 degrees, and that's because we have a fault. So let me connect. I'm not going to erase that fault. Let me connect to it, and I'll be right back. All right, guys. So yep, it's nothing wrong with the computer. Remember the reading we have in air intake temperature? Let me put my. Oops, sorry. It's not gonna hear me well. Let me put the microphone because I got my glasses. Give me 1 second, guys. I took the microphone to put a headlamp and a headlight to see. All right, so as you see, we have now 194 degrees on the air intake temperature sensor. How I know where to connect? Okay, so I'm going to go back. So I'm in pin 23. Look at this. It says A10 signal temperature sensor. This is the intake air temperature sensor and charging pressure sensor. So it's built into there, and it's pin 23 on the same connector that we were before. The connector is, let me use the mouse because it's not moving. It's the same X60231. So we are in the same connector, but pin 23. All right, so let's remember that. How I got in here? Well, I'm in air with the VIN number of the vehicle. I'm going to wire diagrams. So I'm going a little faster in here. I go into function structure, powertrain, then MED, engine electronics, and I click in air supply. This is, again, from experience. I know exactly where to go, but I want to show you where I am. So while I'm here, okay, now I know that the intake air temperature sensor is here. So how I find those lines and information. So when you're here, you click in this upper box, it says overview. This will open all the connectors, whatever components are in here, and the lines. So I know that I'm looking for, I mean, not really know, but now I know, 8/10s. So that's exactly, if I click in here, this will select the line. You see now it's purple. So that line is now selected. If I click in view, it will zoom exactly where that is. So that is pin 23, and that's how I find out. All right, so now I'm going to change the temperature by increasing the resistance. So right now, as you see, this is coming down, and yes, the engine temperature now, the computer, as you see, is taking the air intake temperature as a value for the engine temperature. Why? Because it's no longer a coolant temperature reading. So this is the problem when you are in the manufacturer side. The computer will use a substituted value because one signal is not right. So in this case, since the coolant temperature is no longer connected, the computer knows, okay, I need to know at least an approximate of what the temperature could be on the engine room. So let me use the intake air temperature to calculate that. And that's why sometimes it's good to go to the OBD port, or sorry, the OBD2 site, because that is how you call untouched data. So the manufacturers cannot touch that, and it has, because it's for emissions. But you can see I can change the value, so I'm going to increase that now even more. I'm now in 160 ohms of resistance, and now we're down into 122 degrees Fahrenheit. And I can go even lower. So I'm in 0.6, now I'm increasing it. So, because yeah, this is, if I go into 960, you see how it's changing very quickly. So now in 116, I'm going to add another number in here. So now not one, almost 2000 ohms, and we're in 82 degrees. So it's no problem in there, no problems. Now let's go over to the full data, because we will definitely get now the coolant temperature sensor. Right now it's just reading what it was in history, so we know that we got the intake, what's the intake temperature sensor, so 2EF2. So we're going to go back, and we're going to erase fault codes. So faults were erased. read the fault codes, coolant temperature sensor came back. Obviously, it's not connected, right? But the intake temperature sensor fault is gone. So no more problems on those faults. So Ethan, as I show you here, I can exactly erase all those 6 fault codes that you were having. The problem is not in your DME, the problem is in the car. So please try to perform this test. You can actually do this in the car. And this is one thing that I always show to my customers when there is a problem on a 5.0 reference shorted. And this is specifically for Mini Coopers, right? So you can leave the first connector and disconnect these two. This will obviously create more fault codes in the DME as you see there, but you can always erase them because you want to do this test. So you can again use these are DuPont connectors with alligators. You can buy those in Amazon, very cheap. You can get a decade backs for resistance and you can use this test. So if you're a technician and you're watching this video, this is a test you can perform in the car. Leave this connector, the first one, X60, it will be X6004, and then the second one and the small one, unplug them. And then you can use your test finding the wiring. DMEs on Mini Coopers are beautiful because all the pin numbers you can see inside the actual um, computer. So when you remove the connector, you see all the pins and all the numbers in there. Hopefully you guys can see that on the video, but yeah, they're all there. So you will not miss it. Try to turn my lamp off. But yeah, this is exactly the same test you can perform in the car, and I guarantee you, Ethan, you will get the same results. And then now you know that the problem is not here. The problem is in the harness, it's in the sensor, it's someplace else that you have missed. And I can guide you through. I also offer diagnostics over the phone. This is a service that you can purchase on my Salazar Diagnostics, and I can help you fix the car over the phone, not a problem. And I can help all the technicians with the same service. Um, I hope that you guys like the content and see how much I'm sharing here as far as testing. I always, before connect the computers, open them up because it's very common in Mini Coopers and BMWs to get corrosion, to get oil inside the DME, and that can short it and then create a problem. And I don't want to burn a computer before I know that it's at least safe to connect, and that's what I open the computer. But I have it covered here. When I open the computers, it's no damage, as you can see, no markings. There is no screwdriver or anything marks. I've got special tools that I use for do this repair. All right, so the next thing that I want to do, I'm going to turn all this off. We now know, well, I don't really need to show because we saw the VIN number and communication and everything in here. So I'm just going to power this off, power my scanner off because it's in 35%, which is still not bad. But all right, so everything is power off. What I just wanted to show so Ethan and you guys is his computer has this is the original computer. It has the tag number still there, TT97325, and that is the part number on your DME. All right, guys, thank you so much for visiting the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Bye bye.